AskReddit by Crafty Ambassador 443. What is a sign in adulthood they were neglected as a child? Difficulty maintaining healthy relationships with others. And becoming progressively more emotionally detached as a result of the previous failed relationships. I'm coming to terms with and learning to be okay with being alone. Extreme defensiveness. Growing up you felt like you had to fight to the death for what you knew was right because you were constantly being told that things you saw in front of you, or experienced firsthand, didn't happen. I hate the question "what are you doing?" because it makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong and I'm being told to justify my stupid behavior right fucking now. It triggers the worst fight or flight reaction in me and I can't stand that. I get so pissy about it. Because it's like, never coming from a bad place, it's always genuine curiosity, yet I can't hear it without feeling like I'm being shouted at. Extreme shame after making a mistake. And going to great lengths to cover up even the smallest errors, because when people are mad at you that means they don't love you, so they cannot ever find out. They don't ask for help. Ever. Yup, every time I asked for help or help was offered to me, it was thrown back into my face later. I'd rather just figure it out myself than feel indebted to someone. I still have trouble accepting help from my partner, who has never used it against me. Someone who rarely shares what happens at home or talk about their family. Or oversharing and trauma dumping constantly. Deleted. Deleted. I don't trust promises that people make. I avoid conflict as much as possible and tend to look for an exit if things get loud or if people move fast. I try not to be a burden to anyone, but I'm always checking in with people to make sure someone cares about them. I don't like spending money on myself, and if anyone buys me anything, I feel guilty or like it might be held over my head. I find more comfort alone or with animals than most people. I'm worried that I'm constantly disappointing people around me or wondering why anyone would want to be my friend or a romantic partner. I'm working on all of it, of course, and keep a normal appearance as much as possible. But my mind never really stops and I just wish I wasn't so sad all of the time. This is by far the comment that gets me the most. If someone's nice or offers you something, that first thing that comes up is suspicion and wondering what the heck they want from you. First, because why would I be worth these things, and second, because some people are out to get you. Try to be invisible when you get attention from someone. You don't feel good because you weren't used to get attention in your childhood. That's why you don't like to show yourself and try to be as invisible as possible. And when I did get attention growing up, it was negative. Anytime I was so much as perceived, people would find a flaw in my existence and I'd get in trouble or bullied. Compulsive lying. For some people, if they weren't safe as a child to trust the adults in their life with their feelings, they can develop a sense of safety in lying. It helps them to feel like their personal inner truth is protected because nobody can invalidate it if they don't know about it. On the other side of that, over-explaining because I don't want to be seen as suspicious or a liar. Self-isolation as an adult. Yes, I feel this. No one can hurt me if they don't know. Trouble in their relationships, often seeking out unavailable partners. I spoke about this with a close friend once because I dealt with insecure attachment issues, and she cracked this joke. Person 1. So what's your type? Person 2. Someone who doesn't like me back. Still feeling like you're always in trouble, even as a grown adult. This is maybe the main reason I never feel like I'm a full adult. I'm 35 and I have to constantly remind myself that I'm not on the verge of being punished for some perceived slight. Being shocked that their existence and actions are perceptible or meaningful to others. For example, they might easily blow off hangouts, not bother responding to texts, and show up late to things before quietly sitting down, expecting that nobody really notices their presence or has any care whether or not they're around in the first place, unless it is presumably random convenient. Usually it is surprising and hurtful to realize that this has actually made the other people feel bad. But it is done with the genuine belief that literally nobody cares and you have no possible influence on anybody's life or feelings either way. Whoa. This hit home. I'm always shocked when someone notices something different about me, haircut, makeup etc., or remembers something I did or said. Reading this made me realize my default is still to assume that my presence has no impact on anyone. Like I don't really count as a person the way everyone else does. 1. Not wanting people to be behind them or look over their shoulder. I can't deal with this at all. It makes me very anxious, feel like I'm going to be scolded or attacked. 2. Being overprepared. Whether work, school, home, emergency kits, etc., or just in your bag or car, I have band-aids. Need a safety pin? Need Neosporin or Tylenol? Need a snack? Because you have to take care of yourself and you can also then be a people pleaser. Hahaha, I'm reading this whole thread like yeah, that tracks, and I have never once thought of my work desk drawer filled with snacks and OTC meds for everyone as a trauma response. Massive black spots in your memory. Feeling completely disconnected from your parents. Looking back at what you do remember as if it was lived by someone else. Oh. So maybe that's why I don't remember my childhood. Lots of escapism. Games, books, TV, drinks, drugs, etc. Deleted. Hoarding certain things, like they never had enough and now cannot be without or afraid someone will take it away. Yeah, and as a side note, this can also be the case for people who were not neglected but live through poverty. Gets discouraged easily and always need words of affirmation BC they didn't receive any from parents. If they make a small mistake they can't help but keep thinking about it over and over again and feel like everyone in the world hates them. Yeah, that constant feeling of not being good enough and of doing things wrong, no matter how hard they try. Feeling weirded out by someone being genuinely nice to you BC you're that used to all the abuse you endured growing up. You wholeheartedly believe that they're only nice BC they are obligated to just like people from your past did to you. For me I'm weirded out by someone being nice because in the past people were only nice to me to gain my trust so they could hurt me. I endured a lot of childhood bullying. If it happens at home it's abuse. If it happens as an adult it's assault. If it happens at school it's just part of growing up and your fault for letting it happen. In addition to what has already been said. Constantly apologizing for things that need no apologies. When they talk, they might be prone to fast talking because they are not used to someone listening to them or someone not talking over them. Eater, while I'm currently at the top of this comment section, I just want to take the time to say how beautiful it is to see you all supporting each other in the comments. I hope everyone feels seen and heard tonight. My parents still do this to me at 30 years old. I'll be talking and my mom will straight up start a conversation with my dad in the middle of my sentence. People pleasing. I did a strength finders exercise at work recently and most of my strengths were based around people pleasing and peacekeeping characteristics. People on my team were like, your results make sense because you're so empathetic, and I wanted so badly to be honest and say no. It's because I'm hypervigilant and constantly scanning my environment. You go to therapy for something unrelated, share a normal story and the therapist is like, what? Alternately, telling anyone else your childhood stories and they go, what? So many of us tell these absolutely horrific stories or neglect and abandonment and we laugh, because if we don't see it as something humorous it might break us. Over time the sharp edges of trauma get softened and we honestly do believe this is just a funny story. I'm still caught by the occasional memory where I'm like, wait, that's not funny, that was actually really fucked up. Lack of trust and an inability to truly be vulnerable with anyone, leading to lack of deep connections. Trusting no one is so damn true. My trauma makes me assume the worst in everyone and assume they have ulterior motives. Or everything they're saying is slightly skewed or not the whole truth : Shout out therapy though. Tearing up as soon as they start to talk about how they feel. Without exception, I've noted this is something people who weren't allowed to have emotions as a child do. This is something I think I do. I am really strong-willed generally, but when I walk into a meeting to describe how I feel, I end up in tears due to feeling passionate yet frustrated with the situation. I know my whole gamma plan, but soon as someone says how do you feel, it's game over. When you're a child and abandoned one, you don't have many memories as it is, so you can't even recall not being able to express emotions safely. It really is a vicious circle until someone says it based off observation. If they don't like to be touched, because the only time they were touched, it hurt. I have to politely explain to doctors and such that they aren't the problem for why I immediately tense up and sometimes jump. Hyper-independence. I can't accept help from people even when I really need it, because I don't want to risk them bailing and leaving me adrift. I can't trust that someone will come through and that things will be okay if I don't take care of it myself. Man, people are selfish. You really can't count on anyone but yourself. I've had friends for over a decade and the only thing I can count on is them bailing at the last minute. The only time someone doesn't bail is if I am paying them to be there. You're a loner and don't trust that anyone will help you. An extreme need to be loved, approved, to the point of being confused about social situations and awkward in them. Maybe leaning harder on alcohol, raise his hand, or other drugs to navigate life. Abandonment and temper issues. Yup, I harbor a lot of anger. I've learned not to allow it to be outwardly destructive, but it's still inwardly damaging. Being shocked at a genuine, normal, loving, nice reaction or treat or response.